Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am going to revisit my first YouTube farm and get us so many turtle eggs. Oh, I mean, it's not great. But let's do it anyway. So there are not a lot of options when trying to farm up turtle eggs, not scoots or turtles, but the actual eggs themselves. And I mean, oftentimes there's not a lot of reason for it. You normally need, like, oh, I need 20. That's not that big a deal. I'll just breed together a couple of turtles a couple of times. They'll lay the eggs, whatever. But what if you want a bunch of them? So right here behind me is a paste of pretty much the first farm video I did on YouTube. This is like way back in the day, back when I had a face cam on YouTube and everything, and it was just, it was weird. It was awkward. I didn't really know the best way to explain things, and I was just learning like editing, and that wasn't good. So yeah, I decided this is not great. So you already saw the rates of the one we're going to look at in the video. 380 per hour doesn't seem like a lot. You're right, but there's not many options for AFK farming them. So what we're going to be using here is completely AFKable, as in, put on your auto clicker or use your F3T, put your weight on your mouse button, come back hours later, and now you've got your turtle eggs. So this one had some problems, and it was very low rates. If I remember correctly, it was like, I don't know, it was like 20 an hour or 30 an hour or something like that. Like, whoop-de freaking do. So I decided to revisit it and make it a little bigger. I don't like this one. This works, but this is only 180 per hour. And, it requires some dripstone and all that. So what we're going to look at is actually this one all the way down here. This one is a little bit bigger, but still a moderate size, and this is 380 eggs per hour. All you got to do is hop in a water stream and use it. But before we get how you're going to use this, as always, I like to talk about mechanics beforehand. So let's talk about turtle eggs. It's an egg. I don't know what else you want. Kidding. Okay, so of course, turtle eggs could have 1 to 4 in there. You notice their hitbox does change a little bit, but it doesn't get any taller. So when you add a multiple, when it's a single one, the hitbox is smaller, but when you add a multiple, it grows a little bit. The hitbox doesn't get any taller. When a turtle lays an egg, which, by the way, it has to lay on the sand block that it hatched from. So all these turtles were hatched inside the farm. So these eggs sitting here on bedrock, and these eggs sitting here won't hatch. So we need it on sand. And what's going to happen is you can see on the top left of my screen there, we have a hatch level. So it's currently hatch level 0. It has to go through a few stages until it actually hatches. Once it hits that hatch level 4, then it's going to crack all the eggs. They're going to break open and little baby turtles are going to pop out. Those baby turtles have the worst hitboxes ever. It is so freaking tiny. So there's actually going to be 2 versions of farm in this download. There's that one there. That's the farm to run. There's this one here, which is what you need to build first. So we'll get to that. But first, let's finish talking about the eggs. So once the eggs hatches, the little baby comes out. He's going to wander around for a while. He can be fed with seagrass to speed up his growth. Then once it grows up, he's going to grow up into one of the biggest hitboxes in the game. Swear to God, so frustrating. Look at the size of those hitboxes. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Now, when the turtle first lays its eggs, it's going to be intersecting with the eggs, right? So it's just kind of on top of them. But as soon as it walks away and walks back on it, the turtles can't intersect with them anymore and actually go on top of the eggs. Let's see here. There, now he's on top. So from this angle, we have a clear shot at the eggs. So what we need to do, we need to get them hatching them in a spot where we can come by and silk touch these eggs. We do need silk touch in order to actually collect the eggs. We need to get them in a spot where the turtle is not going to get in front of us so we can mine it, and the turtle is going to get out of the way. As far as when they're going to hatch, we have a decent amount of time to do this because turtle eggs take a while to hatch. They hatch primarily at night, so like right before dawn. Remember correctly, it's like 3:35 to 4:20 on the actual like Minecraft time. Right now you can see it's noon up in my top left there. That means these eggs are probably never going to hatch. But they get a higher random tick chance to hatch during those times. It's a massive difference. So you're going to plant your eggs, AFK the night, don't sleep, and then let them reach those hatch stages. So what are these useful for? I mean, there's an obvious one of decoration. It's a really unique looking block, how they can kind of bunch up in those groups. It has some nice random grouping because it's always kind of a random direction per block of which way they're going to face. But inside that block, they're always going to face the same way. They have a nice strange size hitbox. So, I mean, this is just a slab, obviously, but this one, you can see, kind of hard to see there. But you can see that hitbox is not the same size as the top there. So it's an interesting little block. But it also gets used for mob farms a lot because both zombies and zombified piglins are attracted to eggs. They want to jump on them. So they need to, in order to be able to attract to them, they need to think that they can jump on it. So I see this a lot of times and say, why aren't the pigmen attracted to my, well, get those out of there. Why aren't the pigmen attracted to my egg? Well, they don't think they can actually get there, first of all. And even this, even though they can get there, they can't get on top of the egg. So they're not going to think they can jump on it. So they need enough space to think they can come onto the turtle egg and jump on it. So I think first let's talk about what the farm is doing, how it's going to work, and then we'll get to those steps behind where you're going to build it. First thing you're going to need is a supply of seagrass. So this is what you're actually going to breed them with. So you need to do this ahead of time. I've actually got a couple of farms over there. We'll go over in just a second for getting seagrass. You're going to want a helmet that has aqua affinity on it. So it can be any helmet, iron helmet, whatever. You know, just make sure you've got aqua affinity on there. You want to make sure to take off your boots, you know, especially if you got soul speed or depth strider, because we don't want that. We want to be moving slow. We'll see why in a moment. And then your pickaxe with silk touch, ideally with efficiency 5 and unbreaking 3. And what we're going to do with the mending, we don't actually need to mend this because breeding the turtles is going to give us the XP we need in order to keep up with the pickaxe uses. Because you get some XP from each breed, and you only get the up to 4 eggs. So with especially with unbreaking 3, that's enough to keep the pickaxe fully healed. So to get the farm started, I'm going to put on my helmet. You can be wearing a chest plate and leggings. Like I said, your boots, you don't want soul speed or aqua affinity on them. Get my pickaxe in one hand and the seagrass in the offhand. So just like this. So to use the farm, we're going to get right up against the trapdoor here. I'm going to go into actual survival mode so get this operating. Open the trapdoor. And then our first time around, we're going to need to look straight ahead. We're going to hold our right mouse button and our left mouse button. So right now I've got both of those held. And you can see what's going to happen as I pass these turtles. I'm going to go ahead and actually breed them. And I'm looking below the slab above me, above the fence in front of me, above those pressure plates. And so I'm breeding them. And then they're going to start putting their eggs on this sand block that's right in front of me. And in fact, I'm going to switch over to using a bot. Okay, so we'll get the bot in there. You can see what's going to happen is I'm going to get to the end of the water stream. It's going to shove me in and back up. And then as we pass them, we're going to start breeding them. Now you may say, well, we don't see those eggs yet, but we are going to be able to reach those. We've also got some water in the back here to track the turtles over. You notice they move much faster in the water. They are going to be attracted to the player who's holding the seagrass. So they're going to want to come over to him. That's why we kind of have these split off into chambers. So we have 10 turtles per chamber. That one over there, we didn't have them split up and they would all just bunch up at the beginning and then you'd start dropping your rates. We're going to see that they're no longer going to be intersecting with the egg. And because we're moving on slabs that have soul sand underneath, you can see the player is moving really slow with the water. So you have plenty of time to do your breeding and your mining of the eggs. And then a hopper minecart is just going under here, collecting all of our eggs. We do have, because we have the water there, we have hoppers under there that we can pick up through the water, because if the egg was floating up here, the hopper minecart wouldn't be able to pick it up. And then if you didn't know, you can put sand on top of rails and it'll appear to be floating. It's not actually floating because if I break this rail, it's just going to screw up there. This gives us a chance to have all our turtle eggs laid, and we can see right there, there's a good example. Now the turtle is on top of the eggs, and turtles won't crush the eggs, so we don't have to worry about that. But the next time that the bot or the player comes around, you can see I'm going to be aiming right at that turtle egg. I've got all that time to mine those turtle eggs. If you get 4, you're not going to mine all of them on one route, because, I mean, you are having to mine with silk touch, and it's a slow mining process. But, like I said, we have quite a while that we can get these mined up. So we can already see the player gets to the end, pulls down the chute, comes here and gets pushed back. And then the way that we're resupplying seagrass, so there's 40 turtles in here, right? And the player is going to hold, you want to start off with 64 seagrass in your hand. And the player is going to start off with 64 seagrass in your hand. Well, each time you go up, this clock turns on, and start sending seagrass next to where the player is going to be. So you're going to see there that the bot is going to pick some up. Turn on hitboxes so we can see those. And his inventory will get replenished with everything he needs. Any extras will come back here and get sent right back to that same storage system. So all your extra seagrass you can put in these chests right here. And then we wait until this dropper is empty enough before we start sending it in so that we have space inside this dropper to take in all the items that the bot didn't pick up. So right now, because we just did a breeding cycle, he's not really using much seagrass at all. But he's going by and mining the turtle eggs. You saw we mined one there, but we missed that one. We'll come back to that one. We'll still get it. Don't worry about that. But here we go. We're about to come up to some right here. Then that hopper minecart is going to come around and pick up those eggs for us. So it's a very simple system. We're just making sure that the player is not going to aim at anything he's going to have time to break. So, you know, like right here, a chest, he's not going to have time to break that. In fact, a player isn't even going to be able to open it. So we just have to make sure that during this cycle, the whole time the player is moving around in this circle and facing, in this case, to the south. This should not be directional, but in case you think it is, face south. We have obsidian that's covering any of the important bits that we want to make sure we don't mine with our pickaxe. And then, yeah, he's just getting pushed around by the water. The reason we dropped the player down so far is because if you only drop like right below this, those turtles are still going to be attracted to the seagrass. I'm going to take the seagrass out of my hand because I'm actually attracting them and kind of messing with this a little bit. But you can see we're still getting plenty of eggs laid. So we dropped the player down far enough that the turtles can no longer, I don't want to say aggro, but basically aggro onto that player with the seagrass and want to follow them. Come back for the seagrass. And then right over here, once again, keep it out of the way of the player mining it. We just have these open trapdoors holding the water back. And then we, right here, put the player up against the slab until they sink down into the water here, land on the slab, and then they can fit under that and go about their way. So this farm can run as long as you have seagrass in the system. And you can extend this. If you want to put more seagrass in, just, you know, put some more hoppers on these chests, put some more chests on there, put some more seagrass in. Essentially, every 2 seagrass is going to turn into 1 to 4 turtle eggs. So the turtles, when they breed, they have a random chance to lay 1 to 4 in that slot. So 2 to make the breeding pair, and then one of them lays eggs. That can be anywhere between 1 to 4. We also do have a regen beacon here, as well as a haste. I don't think the haste is really necessary. I just went and added it, but the regen beacon will make sure that the player or the bot can run as long as they want without having to eat anything. And like I said, the experience that we get from breeding the turtles is enough to keep that pickaxe healed up. So technically, as long as you have seagrass in here, this can run infinitely. Now, if there's no seagrass in there and you keep running it, just nothing's going to happen. On the off chance that you do get a baby that hatches, what we have here is the babies are going to be attracted past this. They're small enough to fall down onto this magma. They're going to die there, and that'll be it. But we do have a hopper minecart running under here. There we go. We can see that. So that's right under those magma blocks. Just in case an egg pops off in between this fence gate and the sand, that way we can still pick up the egg. All the eggs get unloaded, and these hopper minecart unloaders go into the same chest line and end up down in these chests. I did say we were going to talk about the 2 other things over there. So there's a couple of Seagrass Farms. There's the version that you need to build it in order to get it functional. Is this farm something you need in your world right now? Probably not. And maybe that's why I never really revisited this one that much. I've never found myself building this on any server that I've played on. But like I said, maybe you just you need a bunch of turtle eggs for decoration, or you want those kind of weird hitboxes for something. I don't know what, but yeah, this can get you AFK turtle eggs. Like I said, 380 per hour is, as far as turtle egg breeding goes, isn't bad. Now this could get a little bigger, but like I said, you want to make sure that you have time. The player is moving real slow up there, so they need to be able to break those, and sometimes they're going to have to come around for a couple of cycles. With the turtles, they cannot get through those fence and slab combos. Normally they'd be shorter than a slab, but could get through, but they can't get over the fence. As I'm standing in the middle of a block explaining this, that's totally fine. I'm a professional. And then we actually use that to our advantage over here on the sides, because it gives the turtles a little extra room. They can move all the way up to those fences. So like the ones in front, it doesn't block them in those corners from being able to lay eggs there. You can also see another example of why I didn't make it too much bigger. So sometimes an egg does land on top of an existing egg. That should give us enough time to make sure that we can get around again, break that egg underneath it, and this egg can then get picked up by the hopper minecart. Figured this was better than shoving a hopper minecart under every single piece of sand that's out there. So that's what we went with. Okay, as far as Seagrass Farms, there's a couple of options. This one is really bone meal efficient, but it's slower. Basically, you can grow seagrass by just bone mealing an area of water sources. So we just hit these water sources and seagrass can grow in there. This one right here, if I turn this on, all we need to do is just come in with our shears. I want to get into the water stream, hold down our shears. Obviously go into survival. Hold down our shears, and as I hold down those shears, put my belly up to there, I'm going to go ahead and break those for me. So again, this is more bone meal efficient, but as you can see, it's a little bit slower. Or we have this system over here that's going to do much faster bone meal cycle, so it's not as many spaces for seagrass to grow, but it's going to go ahead and bone meal, and it's going to replace our, and once again, forgot to go into survival, replace our shears for us. So you can see it's a little bit faster, but again, this is less bone meal efficient. Because we only get a possible of 5 seagrass per bone meal, unlike over there where you could get up to like 25. And those tall seagrass, those also drop an extra seagrass. So something to consider. If you have the bone meal, this is going to get you build up faster. Otherwise, you can do this. It takes a little bit longer to run, but it only uses up 1 bone meal per cycle then. Final thing, if we come over to the west of where those Seagrass Farms are, over here to the north of where the run version is, this is the version we need to actually load it up. So like I said, in order to get a turtle to lay its egg on a block, it needs to have hatched on that block. We need to actually get some eggs to load this up, get them all in here, and then let them turn into babies where they would normally just escape out of here. And so that's why we have to kind of seal them off. So what we have here, these are just leaves of any kind. We're using leaves because when they do grow up, they turn from that little tiny hitbox to that big hitbox. And if they're like right here in the center, they can then start taking suffocation if you had some other type of block there. So we're using leaves. And the other nice thing then is when you are actually ready, when all of them have grown up, then you can just push in these slabs and it'll replace the leaves for you. So it kind of just assembles itself in that way. So that's why I didn't use pumpkins here because, you know, pumpkins you can push blocks through as well, but then the pumpkins it can potentially grow up through. Now over here where you have these long sections, all you got to do is just boom, put that one in there. And then I'll do the next one. And then I'll do the next one. And this doesn't have to be single ticked. You could do this normal speed. And then one more there. And there. Now we have those inside there once we trigger all these off. There we go. We have one of our cells assembled. Again, don't do this until all the eggs have hatched and all the babies have grown into adults. So that's going to be it for this video. Again, maybe not the most useful farm out there, but I enjoy doing those things that are just like, how are you actually going to do this thing? And so turtle eggs are kind of that weird thing. So having the soul sand with the slab at that height to make sure that the player goes slow enough and being able to look at just the right height of the turtle eggs. I had a lot of fun when I first did this. Like I remember trying to show this to all my friends on Twitch and, who am I kidding? I don't have friends. I showed this to some people and it was like, yeah, this is maybe I'll do this. So you know what? You may not have found this to be that amazing, but without this turtle farm, or more accurately, this weird one right here, you probably wouldn't have Strom on YouTube right now. Maybe you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, I kind of wish I still didn't have Strom on YouTube. That would hurt if I had feelings. Speaking of feelings, if you are not okay, remember whatever is getting you down right now, don't worry about faking it. It's okay not to be okay. Keep your chin up. Things will get better, I promise you. But in the meantime, it's okay not to be okay. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.